If you feel like a failure and you're wondering whether any of this is worth it anymore, watch this before you give up on yourself. When my personal training business failed, I was not only ready to quit the business, I was ready to give up on my whole life. And if I am honest, some of those feelings returned recently. My business has taken longer to grow than I expected. Videos I deeply believed in barely got seen. One set at a single view. I started wondering, is helping people get back up and go after their dreams still my mission? Or am I holding on to something that is never going to work? I am not speaking as somebody who conquered every doubt. I rebuilt my life, found my purpose, and still hear the old voice sometimes. But when I stopped viewing myself as a failure, I stopped being afraid to fail. I became willing to try again. My outcomes began to change, and that fearlessness got me back into the game and back into my mission. When I looked at the facts, the evidence became undeniable. I was anything but a failure. For a long time, I thought the voice telling me I would fail belonged to me, but it didn't start with me. Growing up, I struggled in school. I got bad grades. I constantly felt like I was doing something wrong, and I felt like I was disappointing my parents. As a child, you can stop thinking I did something wrong and start believing there was something wrong with me. The doubt I felt from my parents eventually became my inner voice. Every time something didn't work, it would say, "See, they were right about you." If it were up to my dad, I would probably be a bus driver. There was nothing wrong with that, but it was not the life I felt called to live. Even after helping many coaching clients, my mom's voice stayed in my ear. It caused me to start and stop repeatedly. I knew this was what I wanted to do, but because I believed I had failed so many times, I struggled to go all in and pursue it full time. I had to decondition myself from her doubt. Somebody else's inability to see my purpose did not mean it was not real. Maybe the voice calling you a failure sounds like yours, but it was handed to you by somebody who could not see what you saw. Then there were seasons when my circumstances seemed to prove that voice right. I became an alcoholic. I had no purpose. I had quit college, injured my back at UPS, and was living with my parents while everyone else seemed to move forward. I needed my personal training business to work because I wanted it to prove that I was not the person everybody thought I was. The business failed because I had connected its result to my worth. It didn't feel like one business had failed. It felt like my whole life had failed. But what looked like the end of my life became the moment that forced me to search for a new purpose. I overcame alcoholism. I left what was familiar and moved to Sedona, Arizona with only my luggage and my car. I began understanding the pain and beliefs I carried. Eventually, I found a purpose bigger than proving people wrong, helping people heal and pursue the life they felt called to create. The failure of that business did not prove my life was over. It redirected me toward the work I was actually here to do. Finding your purpose does not end doubt. You can know what you're called to do and still question yourself when the results take longer than you expect. Recently, I looked at the views, the business, and my timeline. Wondered whether I had misunderstood my mission. Maybe my parents were right. Maybe this dream is not going to happen for me. The old voice came back. This time, instead of automatically believing it, I looked at the facts. I looked at clients who changed how they saw themselves, healed deep wounds, and made decisions that changed their lives forever. And I had to ask myself, if I were truly a failure, why would they trust me? Why would their lives change through our work? And I looked at my own life. I overcame alcoholism, moved across the country, rebuilt myself, found my purpose, and kept showing up when the results gave me every reason to stop. Those are not the actions of a failure. They prove how resilient, strong, and capable I am. The facts are undeniable. I am anything but a failure. And bro, like rich homie Quan said, thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Cannot see everything I survived by looking at me, but everything I survived gave me something real to offer another person. Now I'm at a point where I'm not going to stop. Every failure from my past is a stepping stone. I'm going to use all of it. Most of my life, I misunderstood failure. I thought there would eventually be a day when I became successful enough to stop failing. But failure is not separate from the process. Failure is the process. There will never be a point where everything goes your way. What matters is how you use failure to learn, grow, and become more. If you stop repeating the story that you're a failure whenever something does not go your way or you feel behind, you will stop taking every result so personally. A setback becomes information instead of a verdict. Look at the facts of your life instead of repeating the story. Ask yourself 3 questions. Whose voice first taught me to see myself this way? What have I survived, changed, or done that a failure would never have done? And what is one step I can take today that proves I have not given up on myself? Maybe you need to post again, rebuild the offer, apply one more time, or return to the dream after months or years away. Taking longer does not mean you misunderstood your purpose. Questioning yourself does not mean you're on the wrong path. The fact that you keep going after failing so many times may be exactly why you are going to make it and get what you want from this life. Every time you get back up, become more experienced, resilient, and prepared for the opportunity you have been asking for. You may be in the part of the story where the results are invisible, but the person you need to become is being built. Do not turn an unfinished chapter into a final conclusion. And if this video made you realize that the belief I am a failure may have been handed to you a long time ago and has now become the voice controlling your decisions, this is exactly why I created Courage Unleashed. Inside Courage Unleashed, I guide you through the truth process to uncover where beliefs like this originated, separate what happened to you from who you truly are, and examine the real evidence of your life. This is about breaking the connection between a failed result and your identity, rebuilding trust in yourself, and taking courageous action toward the purpose you still feel called to pursue. Courage Unleashed is more than 50% off right now. I will leave the link below. But before you go, remember this. You may have failed at something. You may be disappointed with where you are. You may have questioned whether your dream is still worth fighting for. But look at the facts. Look at what you have survived. Look at how much you have changed. Look at every time you got back up when nobody would have blamed you for stopping. You're not a failure, bro. You're a winner. You have to see it before anybody else does, because they may not see it until the success arrives. You cannot wait for their belief. Get back into the game. Get back into your mission. Use every failure and every lesson that brought you here. Start again if you have to. Just do not give up on yourself. And if you want to go even deeper into where this failure identity began, watch my video up here. Feel like a failure. Watch this first. Next, it will help you separate the painful experiences that shaped you from the truth of who you actually are. Again, I will put it on the end screen right here. Until next time.